येनाक्षरसमाम्नायमधिगम्य महेश्वरा कृत्स्नं व्याकरणं प्रोक्तं तस्मै पाणिनये नमः।
चिक्कु पश्यतु उपविशतु। भवतः नाम किं पुट वदतु? किम् अभवत् तत्र?
Communication through words has always been the central axis of human effort. Language is the basis of communication, culture, social interaction, knowledge, intellectual growth, and sophistication of a people. But words and communication styles change with time and place. And so evolved innumerable languages, patterns of speech, and facets of knowledge which have appeared and then disappeared over the years. The modern world has discovered a myriad forms of technology to arrest this disappearance and preserve what could be of great value to posterity. But there was a time when the oral tradition was the only living method to pass on knowledge to the next generation. It was then that there arose in the ancient Indus Valley civilization, in the city of Shalatura, the greatest grammarian the world has ever known, Panini. Panini, through his phenomenal treatise of grammar, the Ashtadhyayi, dared to fix the rules of the spoken language of that time, Sanskrit, in such a way that ever since then the language has standardized forms of pronunciation and speech. The genius of Panini appeared at a critical point in the history of Sanskrit, when there was a gulf between the Vedic language and a rising popular speech or the classical Sanskrit.
The human mind has enough space, enough storage space to be able to retain so much of knowledge, provided the knowledge is structured in a particular formulaic manner. So this concept, which is very modern concept as you can see, that like microchip, you are providing the methodology, the basis of preservation of so much of knowledge, huge amount of knowledge inside the brain, and then pass it on from one tradition, one generation to another generation.
Panini's mastermind analyzed an almost unlimited range of linguistic material and devised a new regulatory and authoritative grammar system to treat both languages with requisite synthesis and proper shifting of emphasis, producing in the process the shortest and fullest grammar in the world.
Acharyah darvah pavitra panihi shuchavakashe prangmukha upavishya महता प्रयत्नेन सूत्राणि प्रणयति स्म। इस एक वाक्य के द्वारा ही पाणिनि कितने समादृत रहे हमारी विद्वत परंपरा में, उसका हमें सम्यक ज्ञान हो जाता है।
In Paspashandhika, Patanjali asks a very important question: Kimartham adhyayam vyakaranam? Why should we study grammar at all? Then he himself answers the question: Rakshoha gamalagva sandeha prayojanam. The first and foremost purpose of studying grammar is preservation and conservation of the Vedic texts.
It is indeed an amazing fact that the Vedic texts in our Indian cultural heritage have been retained intact in their pristine form through several generations and over thousands of years.
If a person from Madras, and if a person from Mysore, and if a person from Kerala, and if another person from Andhra Pradesh, they have been tutored by different teachers, different schools and different places at different times. And if you ask them to chant Agnimilaya Purohitam, they will chant in the same way.
The entire construct of Panini's grammar was evidently geared towards preserving the ancient techniques of pronunciation. Ancient writings such as Ramayana have been made easy to understand and learn only because of the rules of grammar. And Panini, as the expert scholar who codified these rules of Sanskrit, is venerated by one and all.
पूज्यः अस्ति।
It is by following the standardized rules Panini has prescribed that Sanskrit is even today recited and spoken. Panini's Ashtadhyayi itself is a subject of exclusive study by dedicated students of Sanskrit in various parts of the country. Panini's Ashtadhyayi is also being taught through the Bhagavad Gita as the Gita Vyakarana. In Mattur, a village in Karnataka, Sanskrit, apart from being taught in classrooms, is also spoken as a matter of regular conversation among the common people. Dedicated centers of learning have recovered, retranscribed from the tradition of rote learning and preserved palm leaf manuscripts with their wealth of knowledge hidden within. Sanskrit research academies, in the process of decoding and understanding the depth of this knowledge, are also engaged in the semantic and morphological analyses of Sanskrit sentences and words. It is an extremely specialized scholarship that can decipher the writings on the palm leaf manuscripts.
Shri Ganesha Sharada Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Vakyakaram Vararuchim Bhashyakaram Patanjalim Paninim Sutrakarancha Pranatosmi Munitrayam.
The Ashtadhyayi, handed down to us through several palm leaf manuscripts written by many different scholars over the years, is recognized the world over as one of the most comprehensive theories of the grammar of language that could ever have been conceived of by humankind. There is a legend that Panini was actually dull in his studies. It is said that he meditated in the Himalayas on Lord Shiva, who is supposed to have revealed to him through the sounds of his divine drum, the Damaru, 14 Shiva Sutras based on which he derived his unique system of grammar. Panini drew his theories from what people actually did say and write, which is evident in the idiomatic uses he refers to. His grammar is thus notably descriptive, and so an invaluable document of the culture and society of the times. His words describe a whole range of life structures, from politics, administration and geographical data to marriage, dress and even food habits. There were 9 recognized grammatical schools prior to Panini, but scholars believe that Panini's grammar was the finest among them all.
Panini's grammar, 27 philosophical systems have been named in Ashtadhyayi. Out of that, 26 are Nastika.
So here is somebody who was very secular person with a scientific bent of mind, who is ready to look at all possible kinds of traditions, all possible kinds of theories, and then churn out of this, like Amrita, his own style of writing and creating grammar and grammatical treatises.
न्याय भी है उसमें, वैशेषिक भी है, पूर्व मीमांसा और उत्तर मीमांसा भी है, सांख्य भी है और योग भी है.
सत्सु अनेकेषु व्याकरणेषु अस्यैव पाणिनि व्याकरणस्य वेदांगत्वम् उररीकृतम्.
पाणिनीय व्याकरण दर्शनस्यापि इयं द्विविधा धारा अस्ति, तर्कप्रधाना धारा, वस्तुप्रधाना धारा च अथवा तत्त्वप्रधाना धारा.
Panini is an Akhandvadi and Bhartri is an Akhand Pakshvadi who believe that unity precedes division.
Kind of philosophers look at language not just as language, but as a kind of a whole metaphysical understanding of how the world works.
The knowledge of grammar is not only to understand a language, but it is also a highway towards liberation.
भगवान आदिशेषः
Legend has it that the 1,000-headed divine snake Adisesha incarnated as Patanjali and wrote the great commentary, the Mahabhashyam, on Panini's grammar. On the shores of the holy Ganga river in the city of Varanasi, there is a circular pond, the Naga Kunda, from where Patanjali is said to have taught Panini's grammar to many eager students. Other great personalities in grammatical theory building, such as Katyayana, have drawn immensely from Panini's grammar and treatise on phonetics.
Ardhamatra Raghavena Putrotsavam Manyante Vayyakarana.
All the billions of words in Sanskrit literature can be accounted for in Paninian grammar using just his 4,000 sutras in 8 chapters, each subdivided into quarter chapters containing formal production rules and definitions to describe Sanskrit grammar. He gave a comprehensive and scientific theory of phonetics, phonology, and morphology, starting with a list of about 1,700 primary elements like nouns, verbs, vowels, consonants, phonemes, morphemes, and various phonetic substitutes. He devised a program for the combination of these elements. His rules of composition account for the formation of compounds that have already been created in some acts of speech, but leave the way open for the formation of new examples as yet unknown. The construction of sentences and compound nouns are explained as ordered rules operating on underlying structures in a manner similar to modern theory.
In fact, he followed the most modern techniques of computer science of preparing algorithms, giving an Adhikara Sutra which will have its application for a number of sutras, and he thus avoided the repetition of the content of Adhikara Sutra in the following the sutras. This is one great invention made by Panini. His other methodology of Anuvritti and Avritti, to borrow the words of previous sutras according to the need in the later sutras, is another invention to make the sutras precise and also limited in number.
पाणिनि शब्द शास्त्र में अनेक ऐसे सूत्र हैं जो मात्र प्रत्याहारों पर आधारित हैं, जैसे इको यणाची 3 प्रत्याहारों से मिलकर ही यह सूत्र बना है। यदि एक भी प्रत्याहार व्यक्ति को उसका ज्ञान नहीं है तो उसके अर्थ में अपूर्णता रह जाएगी। जहाँ तक पाणिनीय शिक्षा का संबंध है, वह लिंगानुशासन आदि की अपेक्षा अष्टाध्यायी के सूत्रों की दृष्टि से अधिक उपादेय है, क्योंकि शास्त्रकार द्वारा विहित संज्ञाओं के लिए वर्णों के स्थान, प्रयत्न आदि का सही ज्ञान नितांत अपेक्षित है।
Panini went deep into the effects of sounds on the human mind. His system gave importance to each syllable because for him, language and sound were a means for an individual to establish a link with the sublime.
When you want to pronounce ka, he says this is the internal effort, this is the external effort, and this is the place of birth of that particular letter, this is the articulator, this is the duration, and this is either udata, andata or swarita. That means there is a variation in pitch of the pronunciation of this letter, and at the same time whether it is aspirated or not aspirated.
To test Panini's theories, 2 words, Madhu and Ari, were converted into wave files on the computer.
Madhu, Ari.
Madhu plus Ari. Now I ask the computer.
When joined together, Panini's rules stated that the resulting word would be Madhvari.
Madhuri.
So who is replaced by Va in a natural way?
The computer automatically read it in the very same way that Panini had predicted.
You know, the holistic structure and nature of Paninian grammar achieves a rare feat of ekavakyata, indivisible unity in the grammatical construction, where you cannot take out a single sutra and fit it in somewhere else. It's not possible to quote him out of context. You have to quote him with the whole tradition. So there is so much of fit.
The sutras were easy to learn because of their utter simplicity, precision and conciseness.
If you want to explain everything which is associated with eco energy, Probably you have to write 20 or 25 pages, but all this information is embedded in 5 letters.
In fact, it is like writing a computer program. But the program looks very simple. But what it does is something very complicated. And the way it has been done has been a great inspiration for the computer scientists who have been engaged in working on machine translation.
The Karaka theory of Panini is today being used by many computer scientists to make further advances in natural language processing.
Help us in making this English text available to Indians in their own Indian languages. It is the information dynamics what Panini was dealing with. How the information is coded, where it is coded, and in what form it is coded.
The information dynamics that Panini dealt with and the Karakas with their language strings became the clue to the answer they were looking for. Ironically, the technology required to apply the theory Panini gave 2,500 years ago came into existence only about 50 years ago.
He can access any text in any language in the world through his own mother tongue. This is one thing. Second thing, he will have ability to analyze the languages, which is a need of future.
Panini tradition has penetrated into systematizing of not only Sanskrit but also all other regional languages. The first Telugu grammar written for Telugu literature is in Sanskrit, written by Nannaya. What Telugu grammarians have done is they adopted the samjna of ach, pratyahara of ach and hal, and added only plural Telugu pratyaya to that. This signifies that Telugu, though it is claimed to be an offshoot of Dravidian literature and Dravidian group of languages, still followed literally Panini tradition.
The Pratipathikas given in the Paninian model as the pre-inflectional forms formed the base of this principle.
We just recognize only one basic Pratipadika, Manchi, Sreshta and Murkha, etc. in the dictionary, whereas the rest of the forms are actually derived as and when required through the grammar rules whenever the syntax requires these things. Our grammar size as well as the lexicon size will be reduced thrice.
Panini did not arrange the aksharas sequentially. Instead, he organized them based on the proximity or naturalness of the sounds in combination.
So you will have things like hal, okay, so where he puts haya, vara together. He has done that also to make these sutras such that any rule which he writes later in morphophonology, in word formation, or even some syntactic rules would refer to these sutraic abbreviatory ways of putting these sounds together.
This non-linear model is the basis for the hyper-grammar that has now been built for modern Indian and modern European languages.
That's why we have actually named our hypergrammar as Adhivyakarana based on the principles of Panini.
He has been a very precise mathematical person in the way he is looking at language, because he knows that language is a finite thing which can capture the infinity.
Today, Panini's constructions can be seen as comparable to modern definitions of a mathematical function. Comparison has been made of Panini's grammar of Sanskrit with the geometry of Euclid. The consistency of the system of rules of Panini have been tested by Fowler's automaton. Panini was the first to come up with the idea of using letters of the alphabet to represent numbers. G. Joseph, in The Crest of the Peacock, argues that the algebraic nature of Indian mathematics and the development of modern number systems in India arose as a consequence of the structure of the Sanskrit language. There is an effort now being made to understand the harmonics of different sounds and to actually generate sounds based on Paninian parameters using vector and format analysis.
I finished some software courses and joined a software firm. I found certain similarities in software and Panini. In softwares, the English is not English, so is Panini using his meta language. I came to learn Panini.
I find so many parallel things between computer science and the technique used by Panini. You declare something in the beginning of the program. So like that, the first chapter of Panini is nothing but a declaring, assignments, like it. In a memory variable, you can store any information. Ak is a memory variable, wherein he has stored these characters. This is not just the text of Panini, but the application of it. The computer processes all the 4,000 rules and picks up the rule applicable here. You have the option to study the sutras of Panini either in the original order or in the order of the Siddhanta Kaumudi or Laghu Kaumudi. It will be very useful for the researchers.
Around 1960, eminent scientists John Backus and Peter Naur introduced the formal structure of computer programming languages. But 2,500 years ago, Panini had already invented sophisticated notations, meta-rules, transformations and recursions in his grammar that are equivalent to that of Bacchus and have the computing power and properties of a Turing machine. In this sense, Panini may be considered the father of computing machines. In fact, there is even an attempt to write a computer programming language based on Paninian logic.
यह एक ऐसा ग्रंथ है जो जितना प्राचीन है उतना ही नवीन भी।
Sanskrit is a prestigious and innovative project of networking all Sanskrit universities and Vidyapithas in the country with an aim to bridge the gap between traditional scholarship and modern scientific expertise and to make the available Sanskrit resources accessible to one and all.
जो भी पाश्चात्य विद्वान भी हैं, जब वो थ्योरी ऑफ वर्ड एंड मीनिंग की बात करते हैं, जब सिमेंटिक्स की बात करते हैं, लिंग्विस्टिक्स के धरातल पर उतर करके चर्चा करते हैं, स्प्लिटिंग ऑफ सेंटेंसेस की यदि बात करें, वाक्य विश्लेषण की बात करें, हर पदे पदे आपको लगेगा कि पाणिनि ने समास के सूत्रों के माध्यम से, कारक के सूत्रों के माध्यम से एक हमें बहुत बड़ी तकनीक दी।
आजकल का जो वियतनाम है, जिसे प्राचीन काल में चंपा कहा जाता था, चंपा साम्राज्य के एक नरेश ने अष्टाध्यायी पर संस्कृत में टीका लिखी।
There could be no modern linguistics without Panini. As a matter of fact, even early Indo-European study, which started sometime late 18th century and early 19th century, they are based upon Paninian model.
Whether it is Noam Chomsky's aspects of theory of syntax, where he refers profusely the contribution of Panini, a very profound acknowledgement that somebody like Charles Fillmore had given while proposing the case-for-case theory on the Karaka and Vibhakti tradition of Panini. His mantra shishya, Leonard Bloomfield, the father of structuralism in the West, had not only given his famous book Language, but had also written a grammar of many language, 700-page huge treatise, demonstrating how exactly he would write a grammar.
One of the person who is theoretically considered a father of in modern linguistics, Ferdinand de Saussure, was Paninian in every sense of the term.
Structuralism, which Saussure picked up from Panini and talked about. What is it? In a hierarchy, you go higher to more general categories, inter-intra relationships of those categories, till you reach the top where all is one.
The discovery of Panini by Western researchers is the beginning of comparative Indo-European linguistics 100 years ago. Panini, with commentaries by Patanjali, was translated into German. The translation that is Panini. Still today, Sanskrit is studied in approximately 12 universities, both in former West and East Germany.
India is a university Sanskrit and Sanskrit culture so for that reason Sanskrit is a subject. But it is also taught to historians of religion, and it is taught to linguists who study comparative linguistics.
Panini really was a brilliant linguist, knew much more than many of the modern linguists of our days do now. It's not only his knowledge of Sanskrit, of course, and his great intuition, but also the knowledge of methodology, how to describe facts.
George Cardona, one of the greatest contemporary commentators on Panini, has said that Panini's grammar is one of the greatest monuments on human intelligence. Englishman and Sanskrit scholar Sir Monier Williams has said that the Panini grammar reflects the wondrous capacity of the human brain, which till today no other country has been able to produce except India. While the modern world today recognizes the greatness of Panini's contribution, India stands proud before the world because of her inheritance of the ancient tradition, knowledge and wisdom, whose beacon light has been Panini.
तं सूर्यं प्रणमाम्यहं तं सूर्यं प्रणमाम्यहं तं सूर्यं प्रणमाम्यहं तं सूर्यं प्रणमाम्यहं सा रे ग ग म म ग म द नि सा नि नि द द म म ग द म ग रि तरकड़दम तरकड़दम तुम तरकड़दम हम तरकड़दम तगदं गन्नता तरकड़दम तरकड़दम तुम तरकड़दम हम तरकड़दम तगदं गन्नता तरकड़दम 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 ग म म तरकड़दम ग म द नि सा नि 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 द द द म म म ग द द म ग रि रि ग रि ग म द म ग रि ग म द नि द म ग म द म द नि द नि रि सा ततिति ततिदा तरकड़दा ततिति ततिदा तरकड़दा ततिति ततिदा तरकड़दा ततिति गम दम गम 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 दम दनि दनि रि सा सगिन गम दम गम गम दनि गम दम दनि दनि रि सा सनि दनि दम 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 गम सगिन गम दम गम गम दम दनि दनि रि सा दनक जुन तागतिन कजुन तागतिन कजुन तागतिन कजुन ता तागिन 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 तदा तातित तागिन तागिन ततिता सानि दम दनि तागिन तागिन तता सानि दम दनि मद मगरि मग तदगेन सानि दम दनि मद मगरि दम तादगेन 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 सानि दम दनि मद मगरि नि तकदिम तकदिन सानि दम दनि मद मगरि मग निरे रे ग म मद दनि तादगेन तदा तदा दगेन तद्धा निरे रे ग म मद दनि सानि दम दनि मद मगरि दम मग दम नि द सानि रि सानि दम दनि मद मगरि नि द मग दम नि द सानि रि सानि दम दनि मद मगरि मग म दनि द मद नि द दनि द नि दगेन तदा तदा दगेन तद ग म दनि द मद नि द दनि द नि सानि दम दनि मद मगरि मग